I always thought cheaters were smart, careful, slick, and never caught red-handed, but damn, was I dead wrong. I came home early from work, whistling a tune and thinking nothing of it, until I heard low, rhythmic moans coming from the bedroom. I froze. My gut did a full-on flip and my heart pounded like a jackhammer. Without thinking, I crept toward the door, every step feeling like a lead weight. I pushed it open slowly, half expecting a dream, but what I saw was as real as it could get. There they were, my wife and my brother, completely naked, together. For a split second, my brain refused to accept the scene before me. I stood there, speechless, while every bad memory I'd ever had suddenly piled up in one gut-wrenching moment. And then my eyes caught something, a familiar old cast-iron skillet resting on the nightstand. My grandma's skillet, a family relic, an heirloom weapon if you will. Without thinking, I lunged for it. The skillet was heavy in my grip, and I felt its cool, solid weight as I clenched it tight. I didn't have time to process or plan. I just acted. In that instant, my brother's voice slurred out, "Bro, I can explain?" His words barely made it out before I swung the skillet, and everything went black for him. The skillet made a sickening crunch as it connected with his head, and my wife's shocked scream barely registered as I stepped back. The room spun around me. I could feel anger and disbelief boiling in my veins, but I couldn't let it take over. I had to keep my cool. I stared at the mess in disbelief, my mind racing. I had never felt so betrayed in my life. The sound of the skillet hitting my brother's head was like a reset button, forcing me to snap back to the harsh reality of what was happening. I wasn't a violent man by nature, but in that moment, logic and betrayal collided. I knew I had to get out before things escalated further. I didn't even hear the door creak behind me until it slammed open. Two uniformed cops burst in, guns drawn, eyes wide and alert. "Drop the skillet! Hands up!" one of them barked. I spun around, still gripping the skillet, even though it had just landed a brutal blow, and my heart sank as I saw the flashing blue lights, the raised weapons, and the grim expressions on their faces. "Sir, step away from the naked people," the other cop said, his tone icy. I released the skillet and it clattered to the floor. It hit my leg with a thud, sending a jolt of pain shooting up through me. I tried to shout something, to explain, but nothing coherent came out. All I could muster was, "It's not what it looks like." But the officers weren't having it. They quickly cuffed me, rough hands yanking me away from my own home as my wife, still half-dressed, started yelling that I was exaggerating, that I was the one to blame. My brother lay there groaning, his words lost in the haze of pain and confusion. I thought my life was over at that moment. I spent the next few hours in a cold, stark holding cell at the police station. Every minute felt like an eternity, and I replayed that horrible scene over and over in my head. The betrayal, the shock, the humiliation. It was all too much. And then, after what seemed like an endless wait, a detective finally sauntered in. He squinted at me, a smirk playing at the corner of his mouth. "Hold up, is that really you?" he asked, as if he recognized me from somewhere. "Me? What are you talking about?" I replied, confused and still seething with anger. He pulled out his phone and showed me a viral video recorded by my neighbor's security camera. I watched in disbelief as the footage revealed me, standing outside my own door, staring for a full 5 minutes before finally stepping inside. The caption on the video read, "When you know you're about to become the news hero." The comments were insane. Half the internet hailed me as a hero, while the other half were busy asking where they could get a skillet just like mine. In that moment, I realized my life had taken a wild turn, from a scorned husband to an internet sensation overnight. But the shock didn't end there. Wait! A weak, raspy voice suddenly interrupted my thoughts. I looked down at my barely conscious brother who struggled to speak. "Bro, listen, it's not what it seems." I blinked, still numb from everything that had just happened. "Not what it seems? Dude, you were naked with my wife and you almost got your head smashed with grandma's skillet," I roared, the pain in my leg momentarily forgotten as I tried to regain control of the situation. He coughed and tried to explain. Okay, listen. It was all for a TikTok challenge. There's this crazy trend now. Prank the cheater for the hype. We planned it. I mean, we even had a hidden GoPro in the closet. The idea was to fake a scandal and then reveal the truth at the end, and it was supposed to be epic." I felt my blood run cold. "What? You planned this whole damn thing for TikTok? You thought humiliating me was just to set up for likes and views?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My brother's eyes widened as he stammered, "It's the trend, man. We're chasing the hype. My wife was in on it too. She said she'd do it for the views. Didn't you know how much you love those damn views?" My wife, still recovering from her shock, mumbled something unintelligible in the background. I felt my hands trembling, not just from the pain in my leg, but from the complete collapse of my trust and the life I thought I knew. I moved to the closet and yanked it open. Sure enough, there was a small GoPro blinking away, recording everything. My brother's cheeky grin and careless attitude were captured on film, confirming his twisted plan. My heart sank further as I realized that everything was staged. Our whole family, my entire life, reduced to a bait for internet views. I snatched the memory card from the camera, my mind racing. Instead of swinging the skillet again, I made a decision that would flip the script on these clowns. I walked out of the house, still limping from the skillet's blow, and immediately went to the nearest internet cafe. There, I uploaded a video of my own. In it, I laid out the story in brutal detail, every raw emotion stripped away, replaced by a cold, hard account of betrayal and twisted internet fame. I showed the footage, the memory card, everything. The video exploded. Within an hour, it racked up 1 million views. By the next day, it was blowing up everywhere. Suddenly, my pain, my heartbreak, my anger, all of it became something that millions of people were watching. I wasn't just a scorned husband anymore. I was a legend, an internet meme. And as the days turned into weeks, my brother's face became a punchline across the web. Memes, remixes, and reaction videos flooded in. My brother became a symbol of stupidity and betrayal, and I became the unlikely champion of truth and savage justice. With all the media attention and viral success, I decided to take control of the narrative. I launched my own YouTube channel, calling it Skillet Justice. The channel was dedicated to exposing cheaters and calling out the ridiculous lengths people would go for internet fame. Every day, I got emails, messages, and video submissions from people sharing their own messed up experiences. It was surreal. I was no longer just a victim. I had transformed into a voice for everyone who'd been burned by infidelity and manipulation. But life has a twisted way of coming full circle. One day, as I was editing a reaction video in my newly converted home studio, I saw a new email notification. The sender's name caught my eye immediately. It was from my brother. The subject line read, "Bro, I can explain." I couldn't help but let a small, bitter smile creep across my face. My brother, the same guy who had tried to turn our lives into a TikTok stunt, was reaching out again. Hesitated, then opened the email, half expecting another elaborate excuse, another attempt at justifying his actions. The email was short, almost too short. It simply read that he wanted to meet, to talk, to explain everything face to face. A part of me wanted to punch him right then and there, but another part, the part that had grown strong from the fire of betrayal, wanted to hear him out. Maybe this was his final act in a string of bad decisions, his last desperate attempt to patch things up, or maybe it was just another ploy for attention. I wasn't sure. That meeting, arranged in a neutral coffee shop downtown, was the final twist in my already chaotic life. I walked in, still limping slightly, and spotted my brother sitting in a corner booth, his head bowed. His usual cocky demeanor was gone, replaced by something that looked like regret, or maybe it was just fear. "Look, bro," he started, his voice shaky. "I know I screwed up. I know none of this can be fixed with some lame excuse, but I'm trying to make it right. I never meant for it to go this far. The challenge, it was supposed to be just a joke, a stunt, but things got out of hand and I'm paying for it now too." I stared at him, every muscle in my body tensed. "You thought humiliating me would be a joke? That making a spectacle of our lives would just get us all a few likes and shares? You used our family as a prop for your dumb trend." He nodded slowly. "I get it, man. I was an idiot. I thought I was being edgy, that I was ahead of the curve, but I see now how messed up it was. I'm sorry. I really am." I didn't say anything for a long time. The silence between us was thick with everything unsaid. The betrayal, the humiliation, the loss of trust. Finally I spoke, my voice low and measured. "Sorry doesn't cut it. I lost everything because of you. I lost my trust, my pride, and nearly my life." That meeting didn't bring closure. It didn't undo the viral humiliation or the chaos that had followed, but it did serve as a reminder of how far things had gone. I walked away, leaving him behind, a broken shell of the person I once trusted. And as I stepped back into the cool evening air, I couldn't help but feel a strange sense of victory. I had taken something vile and twisted it into my own form of justice. In the following months, Skillet Justice grew into more than just a YouTube channel. It became a movement. People from all over started sharing their own wild stories of betrayal and bizarre internet stunts. I even started hosting live shows and meetups, where we'd swap war stories and laugh at the sheer absurdity of it all. Every video ended with a nod to my grandma's skillet, a symbol of the raw, unfiltered truth that had changed my life forever. Of course, the fame wasn't without its dark sides. I faced backlash from some corners of the internet. Haters who said I was exploiting my pain for clicks, people who still defended my wife and my brother's actions as nothing more than harmless fun. But I didn't care. I was done with playing nice. I was done with letting people walk all over me. I had a message to send, and I wasn't afraid to use my own scars as proof of that message. There were nights when I'd sit alone in my studio, the only sound the hum of my computer and the distant city noises filtering through the window. I'd replay the events in my head, wondering how everything had spiraled so out of control. But then I'd remember the faces of all the people who reached out to me, the messages of support from strangers who'd been through similar nightmares, and I'd know that, in some twisted way, all the chaos had led to something good, a spark of hope for those who felt lost in the mess of modern relationships. I started attending conventions, giving talks about the dangers of chasing online validation at the expense of real-life connections. I even collaborated with other content creators who had similar stories. Together, we built a small community that prided itself on honesty, even if that honesty was raw and brutal. We didn't sugarcoat anything. We talked about the ugly side of love and betrayal, about how sometimes the line between a joke and a tragedy can be razor thin. One particular convention in Los Angeles stands out. I remember stepping onto the stage at a packed auditorium, the roar of the crowd washing over me like a tidal wave. I could see faces lit up by anticipation, some nodding in recognition as they recalled the viral video that had launched my new life. I took a deep breath, adjusted the mic, and began recounting the story in all its gritty detail. I talked about the moment I opened the door, the shock of seeing my wife and brother, the cold weight of the skillet in my hand, and the surreal moment when the internet decided that my pain was entertainment. The audience was hooked. Every twist and turn of my tale seemed to resonate with them. They laughed when I described the absurdity of the hidden camera in the closet. They gasped when I recounted the moment I uploaded my video. And when I mentioned the final twist, how my brother's apology had been nothing but another attempt at clout, the silence in the room was almost deafening. After the show, people lined up to shake my hand, to tell me that my story had changed the way they saw things. Some even admitted that they'd been tempted by similar stunts, that they'd been seduced by the lure of internet fame. I told them it wasn't worth it. No amount of likes or shares could ever replace trust and genuine human connection. But the past wasn't done with me yet. As Skillet Justice grew, so did the attention from unexpected corners. One day, I received a call from an anonymous tipster. They said there was another scandal brewing, one that involved a famous influencer and a shocking betrayal that could shatter lives. My instincts kicked in. I felt the familiar rush of adrenaline, that same thrill I'd felt on the day everything went wrong. I knew I had to dig deeper, to bring the truth to light, even if it meant diving headfirst into another world of deceit and manipulation. I started investigating, reaching out to people, piecing together clues like a mad puzzle. Every lead led to another twist, another piece of the grand scheme of social media manipulation. The influencer, a guy known for his charm and outrageous stunts, had been hiding a secret that was about to blow up his entire persona. I managed to get hold of footage, interviews, and documents that painted a picture of a carefully orchestrated scandal, a narrative designed solely to keep his followers hooked. hooked. It was messy, it was wild, and it was exactly the kind of story that the internet thrived on. I released my findings in a follow-up video, and once again, the internet went into overdrive. My channel exploded with new subscribers, and the comment section was filled with everything from outrage to admiration. I had gone from being the victim of a staged scandal to the hunter who uncovered another orchestrated mess. The power of the skillet had extended far beyond my personal tragedy. It had become a symbol of retribution in an age where truth was often stranger than fiction. Yet, even with all the chaos, I never lost sight of who I was. I remained that guy who just wanted to share a raw, unfiltered story, a story of betrayal, redemption, and the harsh realities of chasing clout. I learned to laugh at the absurdity of it all, even when the wounds still stung. And as I sat in front of my computer, editing my next video, I couldn't help but wonder what twist life had in store for me next. Looking back, every brutal moment, every harsh blow, was a stepping stone. My brother's betrayal, my wife's complicity, the viral video that turned my life upside down, they were all pieces of a puzzle that, in the end, made me stronger. I wasn't just the guy who got hit with a skillet. I was the guy who took that pain and turned it into a revolution. A revolution of raw honesty, where every scar was a badge of honor and every mistake a lesson. So here I am today, still standing, still telling my story, still using my grandma's cast iron skillet as a metaphor for truth. I've learned that in this crazy, messed up world, sometimes you've got to fight fire with fire. Sometimes you've got to hit back hard, even if it means shattering the illusion of a perfect life. And if you're listening, if you're watching, remember, don't let anyone fool you into thinking that betrayal is some clever game. Sometimes it's just a harsh reminder that not everyone deserves your trust. If you're out there feeling like you've been played, like the world is rigged against you, take it from me, man. It's okay to fight back. Fight smart, fight hard, and never let anyone tell you that you're less than you are. My journey wasn't easy, and it sure as hell wasn't pretty, but it taught me that in the end, the truth always has a way of coming out. And when it does, it hits harder than any skillet ever could. If you made it this far, you already know what to do. Subscribing isn't just clicking a button. It's your path to content that's actually worth your time. Hitting like, that's your way of saying, hell yeah, give me more of this. So don't hesitate. Make your move, and I'll see you where the real stories begin.